Today I'm going to be showing you something that you can do with duck eggs. A lot of people are not familiar with duck eggs. A lot of people are just so used to chicken eggs, and I wanted to show you what we do most of the time when I have a lot of extra duck eggs. Duck quiche is something that we love to eat in our family, and it's something that our family has actually really enjoyed when they come to visit us. It does take time to make quiche. Quiche is kind of a fancier dish, but we love savory food. So I like to make it in large batches. In my oven, I can only fit about 4 pies, so I always prepare to make 4. I freeze them and I bring it out on a weekend when we have a lot going on and I don't have time to make the things we love to taste. Now I do this whole process making quiche in a few different stages. It's not something that you can sit down and do in a 30-minute deal. I have to prepare ahead of time. I always like to make my bacon ahead of time. Now for some of you, all of us have different methods of doing things. I love to bake my bacon. I take my bacon, I bake it, I like it crispy. That's going to be a topping after the fact. And then I start to get everything else ready. I like to dice up my peppers, I like to dice up my onions, I like to dice up my jalapenos. Now something for this dish, calculating to help you out, with 4 pies, I like to have about 2 cups of diced up sweet peppers. I like to have about 4 diced up jalapenos. Jalapenos are not for everybody. The beauty of this dish is it's very flexible. You can really cater it to what your palate likes. If you don't like spicy, you don't have to put jalapenos in there. You can put some portobello mushrooms or something else like that. I am also taking jalapenos, slicing them, setting them aside as a topper as a reminder that it's going to be spicy. So I like to do that. I also take about 1 onion for 4 of the pies and I dice it up, set it off to the side. I like to use spicy hot sausage, and I also like some sweet maple sausage. All of those things, the peppers, the onions, the garlic, I like to put about 2 to 3 cloves per pie. I like to calculate that and dice it up. All of these things you're going to cook together ahead of time. That's stage 1. Saute this until the onions get a little bit clear, a little bit more clear, and then I'll add my sausage in, and I like to get it all cooked together and the sausage brown. You'll notice that I didn't put my garlic in yet. Garlic is something that I put in a little towards the end of cooking. Garlic, I love it. We put it in so many things, but it's something that you do not want to put in a dish and have it in there a long time from the start for flavor. It can really make a dish taste funny. While that is cooking, one of the other things that is important to do is to get your pie crust ready. Now, I have done pie crust in several different ways. I have made my own sourdough pie crust. Sometimes it's store-bought. Today I had some store-bought ones in the freezer that I'm going to go ahead and use, but I always put them in and bake them for about 10 minutes. I put several holes with a fork in the bottom, and so this is just part of the prep. Another thing I do, because sometimes this spills over when it's cooking, is I go ahead and line my racks here with foil. So I'm going to put this in there about 10 minutes so that when everything is done and ready, these will be prepared for me to fill them. This is a long staple of ours. I really wish I knew what I needed to grow and how to mix it to have this, because aside from this and my Redmond real salt and pepper, these are my staples that I put in every dish. So now that the onions are starting to look a little on the clear side, I'm going to put my sausage, and I'll also be adding my garlic.
Now, for people that don't like pork, can they use any other meat substance, or can they don't have to use meat?
Yes. Now, if you're a vegan, and we've we lived as vegans for about a year. I just didn't have quiche that year, I'm just gonna tell you, because you do need eggs, and the supplements have never been near what our animals give us flavor-wise, so I wouldn't even try to tarnish the dish by replicating it. But you could use something with some fat. So like any meat that has a little extra fats in it really makes this dish. Or you can step up on your veggies in there. Definitely mushrooms, portobello mushrooms, extra spinach, and extra eggs in place of meat. Now, I usually calculate per pie about, on average, 4 eggs. I happen to have a duck that has been giving me double yolkers, we call them, because there's 2 yolks in each. And these eggs are huge. Like, that's a huge egg. And just for reference, that's my double yolker. This is my normal duck egg, and then this is a regular chicken egg. So I like to calculate per pie, if it's chicken, probably about 5 eggs. If it's duck, about 4 eggs. Duck eggs, when it comes to baking, the French will tell you, the French bakers know it, that duck eggs really are the best to cook with. There's a little bit more fat in there, and it has such a savory, fluffiness to it. It's just delicious. Because I have double yolkers, I have 8 eggs here, calculating with 4 pies, that's averaging 4 duck eggs per pie. So that's why you're gonna see me only putting 8 eggs in here, but if it were a regular duck egg, it would definitely be more than that. I like my eggs extra fluffy, so for this I always put in some heavy whipping cream. Calculating for 4 pies, I put in about half a cup, but you can do it how you want, and you don't have to put it in if you don't want to. I always add some of my favorite Goya, and I just eyeball it. I just literally cover the surface, and I always put in a healthy pinch of my Redmond real salt. This is a very flexible recipe, and people do get intimidated by quiche, but it is actually one of the easiest dishes to make because you have so many different things you can do, and it's going to come out delicious. I do about 1 handful per pie. Preparing things in stages ahead of time is great because this is one of those things that's kind of like a masterpiece, a puzzle that you're putting together. I prefer to put in my pepper sausage mix in the bottom of the pie pan, and then I like to just sprinkle the spinach down in there, and I like to pour the eggs in. After that, I really like to go ahead and do 1 handful of the mozzarella cheese per pie. One of the things that I find really important is to line the edges of your pie pan with the foil. That way you don't have a burnt crust. It's really nice, it's very tender. I also don't overly fill it with the egg mixture because it does during baking, it fills up, and that's usually what spills over. Now that the edges are fully covered, I like to go ahead and do all of my toppings. You can put on whatever you want. I prefer putting on some maple savory bacon. I like to chop it up and then sprinkle it on each. And because I know that I have some jalapeno in there, I like to put in some slices of jalapenos on the top just as a precursor that there is some spice in this. The first part is going to be for 30 minutes. And then I'm going to take the foil off and go for another 15, and then they'll be done. So overall 45 minutes at 350. Now all I need to do is wait for these to cool down to about room temperature, and then I'm going to divide them into different gallon-sized freezer bags, seal it up, and put it out in the freezer for when I want to have this for a busy weekend. I hope this video inspires you to try some duck eggs. And if you don't have duck eggs, use chicken eggs. This is really a very versatile thing that you can do. But if you have a lot of extra eggs, just know that you can make this and have an amazing breakfast to impress your family or some friends when you want to have time with them and not cooking in the kitchen. When we first moved to this property, we had some wild ducks that just kept leaving us these little gifts of eggs, and it actually made us want to have some ducks. So when a neighbor volunteered to give us 2 of her ducks, we were so happy and excited to start our journey. If you're interested in that video, we'll put that off to the side and down in the show notes below.